Okay, Allison, I have looked at your a rough draft for the Moby Dick literary analysis. And first, I'm going to start off by giving you some suggestions for your formatting and just the way that it looks for MLA. So, up in the upper left hand corner, your name will be where it is. You'll then put my name and then English Language Arts 3, and you'll put the date that it's due, which is the 20th of October 2014. And the style that will go in is 20 in numbers. You'll spell out October and then you'll put 2014 in numbers. In the upper right hand corner, you'll put your last name and the page number on each of the pages. So it would be your last name, page 1, last name, page 2, and so on throughout the course of the paper. I'm also looking for a title, and if you look at the assignment sheet, I've asked you to come up with something that's interesting and also tells the point of the paper. Now, for your introductory, um, I see that you included the name of the book and the author. Do make sure you hyphenate anytime that you are writing the name of the book, because that's the way that it's written. If you're just referencing the character, you can not put it in italics and it does not need to be hyphenated. Anyway, your first sentence would read something like, in his novel Moby Dick, Herman Melville demonstrates or portrays or um, shares the characteristics of the dark side of American romanticism, including, and then you would choose a couple. So something like evil and insanity, supernatural, an interest in exotic places, whichever one you choose is fine. You just need to have that part included because you are going to be talking about the dark side of romanticism. After that, I'm looking for a brief summary of the novel. So the plot, the who, what, when, and where. Here you give me some of the background information as far as pretty specific information as far as it starting in Bedford, Massachusetts and staying at a whaler's inn, and you get into some pretty intense detail with Ishmael. But really, I'm just looking for kind of a basic summary of the plot. So you might say something like, on what seemed like a routine whaling voyage, Captain Ahab actually leads his crew out into a revenge mission against one singular white whale. Throughout the course of this excerpt, or through the course of this novel, we see the reader sees Captain Ahab grow in his obsession with the white whale, and eventually it leads to his madness. And then you would end your introductory paragraph with your thesis statement, which should say something to the effect of, through the use of symbolism, imagery, and diction, Melville is able to show Captain Ahab's belief that the white whale Moby Dick is evil. And that is your thesis, because you're telling me what you're going to prove, that Captain Ahab thinks the white whale is evil, and how you're going to prove that, by showing examples of Herman Melville's use of diction, imagery, and symbolism. Okay? So that's your introductory paragraph. Your second paragraph is going to deal just with diction. So you're actually going to find examples from the text. You need to have a minimum of 3 examples from the text with the in-text citation that shows which page you derived that from. So when you choose to use some of those words, like say inscrutable malice, you would tell me which page you actually found that on, and then go and explain how does that point toward the belief that Captain Ahab thinks Moby Dick is evil. And you'll do that in paragraph 1. So 3 examples of diction and how they point back to your thesis. In paragraph number 2, you'll look at imagery. In imagery, again, you'll use 3 examples. So you actually need to use 3 of the points where the author, Melville, shows us some sort of image. So whether it be a visual image, or we can hear it, or we can smell it, whatever it is, and how those point back to the belief that Captain Ahab has that Moby Dick is evil. And finally, for your third paragraph, you'll look at symbolism and what symbols exist that again point to the idea that Captain Ahab believes the white whale is evil, and you actually need to reference those symbols. So it may be something like the prison wall, or gold, or the fact that Starbuck is sane versus Captain Ahab's insanity. and you'll actually show me on what pages do they mention the fact that gold is a symbol, or what page do we see gold mentioned that you derived that symbol from. Your very last paragraph will then be your conclusion, and your conclusion is going to start off with a restatement of your thesis. So whatever your thesis ends up being in the first paragraph, you'll essentially just kind of rewrite that in a little bit different way, but you're using the same information. So then you continue with kind of summarizing the things that you've talked about, and finally you leave us with a final thought. Your final thought's pretty good, that Moby Dick demolishes the vessels and everyone is killed except for Ishmael. You just may hint back to the fact that Captain Ahab's madness and obsession with killing the white whale is what led to all of that happening. I know that's quite a bit of information, so if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask me. Next week, you will have the entire week to be working on making your changes and edits before the final copy is due on the 20th. There will be other assignments due, but you should have plenty of time, and I'm certainly willing to sit down and help you work through this if you have any more questions. Have a great weekend. Talk to you soon.